Hi, I'm Peter Jones, Chartered Surveyor, author and property investor. I had a question from a young lady called Val. Now, I've known Val for a while. Val purchased my quick start guide to buying your first investment property and the accelerator plan for building a portfolio. So I've been giving Val a little bit of advice and help. And I hope she won't mind me sort of using this as a video, but I think the points which came out of her latest email to me, I think are of interest to a lot of people. Because what Val said is that she's now taken a job overseas. She's actually working in Scandinavia, but she wants to invest in the UK. But her difficulty is that she doesn't have a lot of ready cash resources of her own. And so she's emailed me saying, Peter, what can I do about that? Now, this is a really interesting problem that she's got, because in property, there's really two variables. There's time and there's money. If you don't have much money, but you have a lot of time, you can usually do deals in property. How? Because you can use your time to find deals. You can use your time to be able to perhaps encourage people who have got the money to invest in you so that you can do the work, they can provide the finance, you can do some kind of a JV around that. So even if you don't have money but you have time, that can work. The alternative, of course, on the other side of the equation is that you might have money but you don't have time. Well, again, you can find somebody who perhaps has got the time, and you can then encourage them to find the deals and to do the project management and blah, 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 to do the bits and pieces, to do the donkey work, and you finance the deals. So that could be a workable JV. But what can you do if you don't have time or money? Now, I'm saying that Val doesn't have any time because she's over in Scandinavia. She wants to invest in the UK. So yes, there are things that she could do. So it's not strictly true to say that she's got no time. She could potentially be working her way around Scandinavia looking for JV partners. I'm sure there's people in Scandinavia who might be interested in investing in the UK. Or she could be using her time maybe to contact people who she knows in the UK who could potentially become JV partners. Or she could be using her time while she's in Scandinavia to go on to Rightmove and Zoopla and onthemarket.com and start sourcing deals. So that could work. So it's not like there's nothing that she can do, but being sort of very general about it, it looks like in terms of time and in terms of money, she is limited. So what can she do? Well, I do know of people who are in a very similar position who have managed to make this work by sort of standing in the middle. And what they've been able to do is that they've been able to find people who have got the money, and they've been able to put them together with people who've got the time or with people who've got the deals and the properties. So a classic example of that could be that you have a number of JV partners who you know have got the money and who have got aspirations to invest in property. Perhaps they haven't got the time or they haven't got the knowledge or the experience to do it for themselves, but you could put them together, you could front their operation and perhaps then deal with property sources in the UK, for example. If not property sources, then perhaps potential JV partners who could source properties. What's the difference? Well, in terms of property sources, I'm using the term like a firm of deal packages. Somebody whose business is actually sourcing properties, but it may be more fluid than that. It may be that you find other individuals who perhaps are investing in property and they find deals for themselves, but they can't buy every deal for themselves. And so maybe they'll then pass deals to you. And certainly that could be a way of doing it. Now, the objection which comes back quite often in this kind of scenario is, well, why wouldn't the people who've got the money just get in touch with the people who deal with the properties direct and circumvent you? Well, they could. They absolutely could. But the reality is this, a lot of people are very cautious. And one thing which Val could offer is perhaps the ability to be able to do due diligence on the people who are sourcing the properties and then to do due diligence on the properties themselves in order to give the people who've got the money comfort. And although you might think, well, couldn't they do it themselves? Well, potentially they could do it themselves if A, they've got the time, and B, if they've got the knowledge and the experience. But if they haven't got the knowledge and the experience and the time, they may feel that they can't do it themselves. They may feel nervous about doing it themselves. They may be glad to pay somebody to do it for them, or instead of paying a fee, actually just to include them in the deal. So there's all sorts of ways and means and opportunities. Of course, what this fundamentally comes down to, though, whoever is standing in the middle has to be able to push themselves out of their comfort zone if they feel nervous about doing that themselves. If they're thinking, well, what can I bring to the party? What value can I bring? Then they're probably not going to do anything. So you have to believe in yourself that you can bring value, and being able to research the people who are providing the properties, or research the properties, or maybe offer other types of services. Like maybe you help research finance, additional finance. Maybe you help research putting together a team so that when whoever's got the money buys the property, you can be in the middle helping them to make sure that the project actually runs smoothly by researching the team, by researching what needs to be done, and adding all the bits and pieces and the value which they can't do for themselves. So it absolutely can work, it just needs to be structured correctly.
Well, I hope you found that informative and inspirational. And if you want help in property, please do come over to my website, www.thepropertyteacher.co.uk. Loads of great resources there, including my blog. There's loads of free videos, loads of great articles. There's free reports to download, including Learning with Peter, where you'll be able to access resources like my video courses, like my ebooks, including my home study course, the Successful Property Investors Strategy Workshop, which I've literally sold thousands of copies of, which takes you through how I started in property, literally with none of my own money, but how I was able to build a portfolio of £2 million worth of property in just 4 years. I'll show you everything that I did right so that you can do the same, and I'll show you everything that I did wrong. I'll tell you about all of my mistakes so that you can avoid them, so that you can progress in property far more quickly than me. Until next time, here's to successful property investing.